and run accordingly. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of this opening session. I would like to thank everyone that willingly attended to the opening ceremony. Before we start for the next session, we'd like to ask everyone who joined in Zoom meeting to open the video camera to take photos together as documentations. I will start count to capture the picture, to capture the photo. 1, 2, and 3. Hold on. Okay, thank you, everyone. All the expected attendance, as we have finished our opening ceremony, as our initial plan to lead the next session, we will listen together the keynote speech that will be delivered by our keynote speaker. But unfortunately, our keynote speaker, Dr. Heru Prastyo, is sick. We will start the main event, the presentation from the speaker. Let's pray together so that Mr. Heru can get speedy recovery from his illness. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, I would like to welcome our moderators. The first moderator, Dr. Eka Jatnika from National Research and Innovation Agency. And then second moderator is Mr. Nazlian Shah, MNS from Health Polytechnic of Pangkal Pinang, and then Mr. Asyar Abilawo, MKes from Health Polytechnic of Pangkal Pinang. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first moderator, Dr. Eka Jatnika. Floor is yours.
Oke. Selamat pagi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. So today we have the interesting discussion, an interesting topic, especially in Bangka Belitung Island, that is already famous for a long time history for the mining activities in this area. However, they have many concerns about the health effect in mining activities. One of them is the natural radiation, which is containing in the natural resources, like for tin mining activities. Now we have discussion with the first presenter from Hirosaki University Institute of Radiation Emergency Medicine, Hirosaki University, is Associate Professor Yasutaka Omori, PhD. So thank you for your coming in Bangka. So Mr. Omori was graduate from the Tohoku University, and the specialty is about the environmental radiation and radon, as well as radon. So today presentation will be can we share the presentation? Okay, this is the radiation
located inside the body and people receive the radiation from the inside. The radioactive materials, intake of radioactive materials occurs due to inhalation, and ingestion, and infiltration from the wound. Please go to next slide. Okay. This slide shows the health effect due to acute radiation exposure. Radiation exposure level is expressed as the unit of millisievert, MSV, millisievert. And health effect is governed by the radiation exposure level. And radiation exposure level become higher, the health effect will become severe. Below 100 millisievert, the clinical symptoms are not confirmed. So it is considered there is no effect, no health effect below the 100 millisievert of radiation exposure level. And for example, at 4,000 millisievert of radiation exposure level, 4,000 millisievert of radiation exposure level, 50% of people die. So radiation exposure level will become higher. The health effect will severe. And details about the health effect due to radiation exposure will be discussed in the presentation by Professor Yoshinaga. Please go to next slide. Okay, let's move to the talk about sources of exposure in the living environment. Okay, what's next? In the living environment, there are various sources in various radiation sources. For example, chest X-ray images and baggage checks in medical and industrial use, respectively. Please go to next slide. Okay. Also in the natural environment, radiation, there are various radiation sources in our lives. Cosmic rays comes from the space, and also the soils and rocks of the ground contains the radioactive materials. For example, uranium, thorium, and potassium. These radioactive materials, uranium, thorium, and potassium, emit the radiation directly from the ground, and it is called the terrestrial radiation. Also, uranium and thorium produce the radioactive gas of radon through radioactive decay process. The radon gas is exhaled from the ground and accumulated in the houses. The inhalation of radon causes internal radiation exposure. And foodstuffs contained radioactive materials. Later, we will discuss about these radiation sources. Okay, please go to next. Okay, of cosmic rays. The high-level locations are colored with red, and low-level locations are colored with blue, dark blue. The dose rate distribution of cosmic ray is distributed heterogeneously in the world. Highland area and high latitude area show the high dose rate from cosmic rays. For example, the Alps shows the high cosmic dose rate due to the elevation is very high. And in Indonesia, the cosmic ray exposure level is very low. Please go to next slide. Okay. This figure shows dose rate, radiation exposure level distribution from terrestrial radiation. As you can see, and high level locations is red colored bars. Red colored bars represent high level radiation exposure level locations. As you can see, exposure level depends on the soil type and how, as you can see, exposure level distribution is heterogeneous, and exposure level depends on soil type and house type. For example, in Kerala, India, the monazite sand, which contain the thorium, distributed along the coastal region of Kerala. So the pitch leads to elevate the terrestrial radiation levels in that area. Another example in Ramsar, Pakistan. In Ramsar, Pakistan. Ramsar, Iran. The radium concentrate in hot springs, which elevates the gamma terrestrial radiation level in that area. Please go to next slide. Okay. This slide shows distribution of radon activity concentration in the world. And in red colored locations, the radioactivity concentration is high, and green colored locations, the radon concentration is low. Similar to the terrestrial radiation, radon activity concentration indoors distribute heterogeneously. And it is because the exposure level depends on the building properties such as structures, materials, and ventilations. In Sweden, the brick houses with basement elevate radon concentration. And for example, in Japan, wooden houses with high ventilation cause the low radon concentration. Please go to next slide. This slide shows radioactive materials due to intake. In the human body, some radioactive materials contain human body contains some radioactive materials. In right tables, various sources of radiation exposure exist in the living environment, and exposure level depends on lifestyles in countries. Thank you very much for your attention.
So thank you very much for a nice talk, Omori Sensei. So now is the Q&A session. So in Omori Sensei talk, we can know about the what kind of radiation in environment. So for radiation in environments, not only for the artificial radiation or radionuclide, but also the natural radionuclide and also the cosmic, right? I say, and both of them have the health effect to the human. And also we always exposed to the radiation is every day, mainly from environmental radiation and also the, mostly is from radon. Any question from the participant in online? Gak kelihatan ya? Iya. Okay, we have the Bangka Belitung merupakan daerah tambang yang mempunyai tingkat radiasi cukup tinggi, namun kasus kanker akibat paparan radiasi hampir tidak pernah dideteksi. Bagaimana menurut narasumber terkait hal? So, the question number one, as we know, the Bangka Belitung is the mining area and have the little bit high of the radiation exposure. However, for the cancer incident is very low. What do you think about that one?
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the question. So I will answer it. And radiation exposure level is a little bit high in Bank Island, but in chronic radiation exposure, the health effect is confirmed in external radiation exposure is acute radiation exposure with high level dose rate. But in Bangka Belitung, and health effect was the cancer incidence. And in the case of Bangka Island, the radiation exposure level is a little bit high, but the radiation, the exposure situation is chronic radiation exposure. So, and in chronic radiation exposure, the health effect is not confirmed so far. So probably so that's why the cancer incidence is low in Bank Island.
Thank you for the answer, Sensei. And question number two. So maybe I will get here. So, apakah kondisi udara atau lingkungan yang terpapar radiasi itu sepanjang waktu? Maksudnya, mungkinkah pada kondisi hujan atau panas dia berkurang? Apa upaya kita untuk mengurangi radiasi tersebut? So the second question is there the weather condition and environmental condition is exposed every time or not? Then if in rainy situation or in hot weather situation, that is will be less or not. So, and then how to reduce the natural radiation exposure? Thank you for Susan.
Difference in natural radiation exposure between hot season and rainy season.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Mm, Okay, the cosmic rays, regarding the cosmic rays, regarding the cosmic rays, the radiation exposure level will vary with seasons because of the how to say because how to say the okay. So first, I explain about the radon, the exposure to radon. The radon concentration, regarding the radon concentration, the radon will be radon is hardly to exhaust from the ground due to the in the rainy season due to the rainwater is covered on the ground surface, and radon is not comes up to the air. So radon is radon is hardly to infiltrate into the houses. So I think radon concentration will be low in rainy season. And in terrestrial gamma radiation, the radon, there is no seasonal variation in terrestrial terrestrial radiation level. So I think in hot season and rainy season, terrestrial radiation level is not varied. And in cosmic rays, in cosmic rays, the exposure level will vary, depends on seasons. And for example, in Japan, in summer season, cosmic ray will increase, and cosmic ray exposure level will reduce in summer season. Yes, summer season. But in Indonesia, I think there's very small variation in cosmic rays due to location. Indonesia is located at equator regions.
Thank you very much, Omori Sensei. So maybe I can give explanation in bahasa. Mungkin kita tidak akan pernah kita itu akan selalu dipapari atau terpapar oleh radiasi alam setiap hari, setiap waktu. Namun radiasi alam ini juga ada variasinya, terutama kalau misalnya pada waktu hujan itu paparan radiasi dari radon itu akan turun karena radon tidak akan lepas dari tanah, jadi tidak akan keluar dari tanah karena tertutup oleh lapisan air. Tetapi kalau sudah misalnya mengering, dia akan segera terekspos atau memapari kita. Kemudian kalau untuk di kosmik radiasi, mungkin di daerah Indonesia karena di ekuator tidak akan terlalu banyak variasinya. Dan kalau untuk gamma radiasi di sekitar kita itu terutama di tanah itu masih terkandung uranium, thorium atau potasium yang memancarkan radiasi, sehingga kita akan terpapar setiap harinya. Baik, seperti itu. I think for this first talk for Associate Professor Yasutaka Omori is finished, we will move to another presenter.
Thank you. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Sensei. For the next presenter is Professor Shinji Yoshinaga from Hiroshima University. Oh ya. So mungkin so thank you very much. So the next speaker is Professor Shinji Yoshinaga. After studying epidemiology and biostatistics at the Graduate School of Medicine, Tokyo University, he started his scientific career at the National Institute of Radiological Science, Chiba, Japan, in 1994. He worked there mainly on the epidemiological study of Japanese radiological technologies and other related studies. In September 2018, he was appointed as a professor at a research institute for radiation biology and medicines, Hiroshima University. He is currently working on epidemiological study of atomic bomb survivor cohort of Hiroshima University, and also on risk analysis of low dose and low dose rate effect for other population. So, Yoshinaga Sensei, your time.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction, Dr. Eka. I would like to thank you, organizer, for giving me this opportunity to join this important seminar. Selamat pagi, nama saya Shinji Yoshinaga. Saya datang dari Hiroshima, Japan. Today I'm going to talk about health effect of ionizing radiation, especially from point of epidemiology. Okay, next please. Okay, health effect of radiation can be classified from several aspects. First, there need several time span from the exposure to the onset of or development of health effect. Acute effect can generally occur within several weeks after exposure, while late effect of radiation occur typically after several months, even several years or several tens of decades after exposure. And second point is who affect radiation effect. If he or she who is exposed to radiation develops health effect, then such effect is called somatic effect. And in addition, sometimes the people whose parents or grandparents was exposed to radiation, then some effect could be happen. Such effect we call hereditary effect. And finally, health effect can be classified into deterministic effect and stochastic effect. Deterministic effect is also called as tissue reaction. Next, please. So, in this slide, I show two typical health effects of radiation, deterministic and stochastic effect. In the left figure, you can see how frequency of deterministic effect is increasing according to radiation dose received. There is specific dose below which there is no effect at all. Such dose we call threshold dose. In contrast, for stochastic effect, there is no such threshold at all. Frequency of stochastic effect is increasing according to radiation dose. However, for severity of stochastic effect is independent from radiation dose. Okay, next please. In this slide, I show you basic biological mechanism from radiation exposure to okay. Basic, I show you basic biological mechanism after radiation exposure to human health effect. There is basic target of radiation exposure. When human is exposed to radiation, DNA can be damaged either directly or indirectly changed. And next, please. Such DNA damage can be repaired by biological mechanism, and such repair system is successfully done, then no effect is occurred. However, next please. Okay, next please. If such DNA damage cannot be repaired, either misrepair or incorrect repair. Misrepair means in the case where radiation damage is very complex because of high radiation dose. For such misrepair case, DNA damage could lead to cell death, and such cell with DNA damage lead to loss of function of organ or tissue. In such case, there will be deterministic effect. And for incorrect repair, some of the damaged cell would be mutated. Such mutation could be sometimes lead to stochastic effect, including cancer or hereditary effect. Next, please. Okay. Next, please. And for the back, one slide back, please. Okay. I show you some examples of deterministic effect. There are several typical deterministic effects, including effect on fetus embryo, cataract of the eye, depression of blood forming process, sterility, skin burn, hair loss. Such deterministic effect has different latency. Latency means time to develop after exposure. And also such different deterministic effect has different threshold growth. However, under 0.1 grade, there are no observation for such deterministic effect. Next, please. And I show you also about examples of stochastic effect. Stochastic effects can be classified into cancer and hereditary effect. And such different stochastic effects has different target organ or tissues. And also latency of different types of cancer is different according to types of cancer. And for hereditary effect, we have no clear evidence from studies of human populations. Only for cancer, we have strong evidence from such human population studies. Okay, next, please. We have a long history of health effects after radiation exposure from epidemiological studies, including radiotherapy, radiation diagnosis, and radiation exposure from nuclear accident or radiation exposure from environmental exposure. And also we have many knowledge from studies of atomic bomb survivors. Next, please. So we can classify into such radiation exposed groups into several groups. First of all, atomic bomb survivors is important population to understand radiation health effect, because population size is very large and those of radiation dose levels from low to high very wide, and follow-up is successfully conducted. But there are another groups to evaluate health effect of radiation, such as occupational exposed groups, including radiologists, radiologic technologists, air crew, nuclear workers, underground miners, including uranium miners and tin miners also. Another group is medical irradiated populations, such as patients with radiotherapy and radiological examination. And last group of population is general population who are exposed to fallout from nuclear accident, or general population in home. As you know, there are natural radiation called radon, as Dr. Omori mentioned in previous lecture, and high natural background radiation area study. Next, please. These different population received different levels of radiation, and how to receive radiation is different from population to population. Chronic or single acute dose, whole body or partial body, and external or internal exposure. Next, please. Okay. Next, please. Okay. One of the representative epidemiological studies of radiation health effect is atomic bomb survivors. They include so many atomic bomb survivors were included in the study. More than 120 people were included in lifespan study. In lifespan study, cancer incidence as well as mortality of any cause followed up until 1950 for mortality and until 1955 from cancer incidence. For atomic bomb survivors, there are other types of studies. Next, please. Each of the atomic bomb survivors who were exposed to within 4 kilometers from hypocenter, radiation dose was estimated very accurately on the basis of information on the location where they were at the time of bombing. And another condition of exposure was also considered to estimate radiation dose. Next, please. This is association between distance from hypocenter and radiation dose, estimated radiation dose. Next, please. At 1 kilometer from the hypocenter, in Hiroshima, about 7 gray was estimated for radiation dose. However, at 2 kilometers from the hypocenter, the estimated dose is less than 0.1 gray in Hiroshima. So there is strong relationship between distance and radiation dose. Next, please. So such information on radiation dose was used to analyze cancer risk. In the left figure, I show those response relationship of cancer and radiation dose for males, and in right figure for female. For both figures, we can see linear dose response between radiation dose and the cancer risk. Next, please. However, in the low dose range, like below 0.2 gray, the uncertainty is very large and we cannot judge if there is any increase or not. Please, next. Such cancer risk is different according to different tissue or organ of the body. Among the old organs, thyroid and bone marrow has high radio sensitivity compared with other organ or tissues. Next, please. And also, cancer risk is different according to age at exposure. For younger age at exposure, like below 10, then cancer risk becomes high. Right? However, for older age at exposure group, there is no such higher cancer risk. And thyroid cancer has very high age dependency. Next, please. Not only cancer, but also non-cancer disease, including heart disease, is also increased after several amount of radiation. Next, please. This is a whole heart disease and also stroke. One of the circulatory disease is also increased after radiation exposure among survivors. Next, please. In addition to circulatory disease, cataract of the eye is also increased after radiation among atomic bomb survivor. However, above 0.5, there is no clear association between radiation dose and the risk of cataract. Next, please. So there are many knowledge to understand the health effect of radiation from studies of atomic bomb survivor. However, low health effect from low dose and low dose rate exposure to radiation cannot be understood from atomic bomb survivor. So, other population of exposed people are very important to understand health effect, such as workers, medical or nuclear workers, and residents in high background radiation area. Also, fluctuated exposure to radiation should be qualified from studies of radiotherapy group, and also people with diagnostic radiation, and internal exposure to radiation also can be classified from other population studies, including underground mine studies and indoor residential studies. Next, please. So one of the oldest occupational groups who are exposed to radiation is radiologic technologists. In Japan, we have around 12,000 of radiologic technologists at the time of 1975. We have collected information and for more than 20 years for cancer mortality. In this study, only hematopoietic cancer, including leukemia, was increased among all cohort who were possibly exposed to higher level of radiation. But recent radiologic technologies, there is more increase of radiation and increase of cancer because they were exposed to relatively low level of radiation because of radiation protection started in Japan around 1960. Therefore, occupational radiation was decreased at that time. Next, please. In Japanese cohort, leukemia risk was dependent from year first worked, which suggests there is radiation-related high leukemia risks among Japanese radiologic technologists. Next, please. In the United States also, there was a study of radiologic technologies. Around 100,000 of people were included in the study. We investigated skin cancer risks among US radiologic technologists. However, for workers with low radiosensitivity who had black, dark, brown hair like Asian people, there was no increased risk of skin cancer. However, radiosensitive workers to skin cancer, there was clear increase associated with radiation exposure. Next, please. And another occupational group was nuclear workers to understand the health effect of radiation. This is a result from international nuclear worker study called INWORKS. There were more than 300,000 of workers in this study. And there was some relationship between radiation dose and cancer risk. Okay, next please. And as Dr. already mentioned, there are several areas with high natural background radiation, including Kerala, India, Yanjiang, China. And in these two countries, there were big epidemiological studies. Next, please. From Chinese studies, we found no association between radiation dose and cancer risk. Next, please. From Chinese study, also we have no clear association between radiation dose and cancer risk, which means chronic low dose radiation exposure could not increase cancer risk because of some biological mechanisms of humans. However, we have no clear answer to explain these different findings. Next, please. So in recent world, especially in developed country, has concern about radiation exposure from medical diagnostic X-ray, including computer tomography, CT exposures. In this study, the authors showed relationship between annual X-ray frequency and cancer risk calculated by such radiation dose. In Japan, here, because of high frequency of CT, the calculated risk was the highest. But this is not based on true data. This is just calculation from X-ray frequency. Next, please. So after that, in European countries, there are several epidemiological studies initiated. In UK study, they showed association relationship between radiation and leukemia risk, and also relation of brain tumor risk, as shown in this slide. Next, please. And from Dutch study, they also showed some relationship between brain radiation dose and brain cancer risk, as shown in this slide. Next, please. However, there is a concern about this suggests real causation or not. In this study, we assumed the above relationship. Cause was exposure from CT scan, and the result is onset of disease. Next, please. However, if there was some symptom or indication related to leukemia or brain tumor, then such people are likely to receive CT examination. Next, please. So results and cause were reversed. This is not assumed causation. Reverse causation was one of the explanation of result from pediatric CT study. So we should be very careful to interpret such study results from the point of bias or confounding. Okay, next, please. Okay, next, please. So I would like to summarize my talk today like this. Health effects of radiation are classified in several aspects. Epidemiological evidence suggests that cause-response relationship of cancer is linear, after large uncertainty in low dose range. Non-cancer, such as circulatory disease and high cataract of the eye, also increase after exposure, but less clear for low dose range. There is no clear human evidence for hereditary effect of radiation. Cancer risk by radiation can be modified by organ or tissue, as well as various host factors such as age, sex, and genetic factor. Effect of low dose and low dose rate and fractionated low dose radiation should be clarified by further studies. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
So thank you very much, Yoshinaga Sensei, for your excellent presentation.
Mbak Ina itu namanya Bu siapa, Mbak? Bu siapa itu namanya? Bu Vivi.
Any question? And we also lucky because in here have the talk with the world scientists for the epidemiological study about the radiation. So they have the question: what is the short-term solution to avoid? What is the short solution to avoid the effect of radiation in Bangka Belitung? From Putri. Yes. What is short-term solution to avoid the effect of radiation? Maybe how that.
In bunker situation, as far as I know, there is so far no increased health effect associated with low dose radiation exposure. As I explained from high natural background radiation studies, for chronic radiation, low dose radiation, there could possibly no effect at all. However, we should continue to study the possible association between some health effect and exposure to radiation in Bangka Island. But so far, there's no I suggest please do not worry about such effect.
And yeah, thank you, Sensei. And maybe for how to say, beside of the radiation, it's also associated with heavy metal. Also, because radiation and heavy metal pollution or environmental pollution will it cannot be separated. So it's many factor for the health effect, not only for radiation and also for the heavy metal pollution. So for the next presenter, the next question. From Zen MC, is there any effect of exposure to radioactive minerals following mining on case of iodine? I cannot see disorder in several areas in Bangka Belitung.
In Bangka case, I'm not sure if there are some studies on health effect associated with exposure in tin mining. However, in other countries, there was some studies on tin miners, especially in China. There was a big study amongst such tin miners in China. There was some increase of lung cancer associated with exposure to radon and its progeny. And also they were exposed to some chemicals, not radiation, and very complex exposure was delivered to tin miners. But in Bangka case, so far we don't know levels of exposure to radiation as well as to chemicals. So we should clarify by such clarify by further studies.
Yes, I think this will be more interesting because we need to clarify first this one, and then after that, by the collaborative research, it will be found the answer of this one. So next, the last. Okay, question for Shinji Yoshinaga Sensei. What is the radiation can be effect for fertility? Has any research? I cannot see. Maybe has any research? Bisa dikecilin nggak, Pak? Bisa dikecilin nggak, Pak? Itu apa? Oh, ini ya. Has any research about it? This from Novidianto. What is the radiation can be effect for fertility?
We have experience from atomic bomb survivors who were exposed to relatively high dose of radiation. For atomic bomb survivors who received such as an over 0.5 gram, there was tentative reality, and if radiation dose was such as over 1 gray or 2 gray, there was permanent fertility. So experience from atomic bomb survivors is one of the informative example. But recently, as you know, for example, for radiotherapy, the protective device can be used for such patient. And we don't have recent example of fertility related to radiation exposure. Again, atomic bomb survivors' experience is one of the most informative example.
And also I think that is different sources type of the radiation. As I said, for atomic bomb is high dose rate, and in our area, Bangka Belitung, or in environmental, that is the low dose rate. So it's not yet clear for the health effect. Okay, maybe for the second presenter is enough. So we will next for the next presenter. So thank you very much for Yoshida Sensei for your talk. So the next presenter is the Professor Shinji Tokonami from Hirosaki University. Actually, Professor Shinji Tokonami was still my sensei, my professor in Hirosaki University. Professor Shinji Tokonami was graduate from Waseda University, and also he is the world expert for the radon, and also he's involved in many international institute like ISO, IEA, also involved with ANSCAR also. And also he have many experience in the scientific, also have the patent and award from the last is from Japanese government for the award. And of course, the specialty is about the radon and development of radiation measurement technique. So for today's presentation is about radiation exposure situation in Indonesia. So Tokonami Sensei, the time is yours.
Selamat pagi. Nama saya Shinji Tokonami. So first of all, I'd like to express my appreciation for inviting me to a special seminar. So we first two speakers provided general information on radiation from the two aspects of one is radioactivity level, the other one health effect due to radiation exposure. So my topic is focusing on the radiation exposure situation in Indonesia, the specific topic. So next slide, please. As Dr. Omori pointed out, there are some high natural background radiation areas in the world, especially China, India, Iran, and Brazil are famous for high background radiation. Next, please. Oh, back to the first one, sorry. This map shows gamma radiation level due to in terms of external radiation exposure, but we have to take into account internal exposure as well. So next slide, please. As the most important contributor of internal exposure is radon, radon-222 and radon-220. So radon is a radioactive noble gas. It is emanated from soil, building materials, and so on. It is accumulated in houses, which enhances the indoor radon level. That's why the radon is a second cause of lung cancer after smoking. As you can see, the left figure shows the WHO handbook in indoor radon. This handbook was issued in 2009. It describes the warning of indoor radon. People have to reduce the lung cancer risk. Next slide, please. The first, before talking about Indonesian situation, I would like to introduce our own studies conducted in India and China. Next slide, please. This slide shows a contour map of gamma dose rate in Kerala. Okay. We measured gamma radiation using gamma spectrometer. As you can see on the right upper right photo, it was me more than 10 years ago. I measured gamma radiation. And also we made measurements in many places. Then we can draw the map, contour map. As you can see, red color means a high dose rate, and blue color
represent lower dose rate. You see, there are high dose rate area along the coast. There is a rare earth mines. There are earth sands along the beach. They are collected sands and extract the rare earth. But after that, they throw the waste on the beach. So there are many tailing dams along the beach. That waste residue containing high thorium. This is natural radioactive materials. Next slide, please. This slide shows the result of radon-222, radon-220, and its progeny in Kerala. As you see, you can see the lower table. We conducted about 60 houses in high background radiation area and control area. The radon concentration is relatively low compared to outdoor level, almost the same. On the other hand, the total radon-220 level is slightly higher than other places. Next slide, please. This is China survey. We conducted China survey in 2013 and 2014. This is Yangjiang, Guangzhou province area, China. Next. This slide shows the result of radon-222, radon-220 and its progeny concentrations in Yangjiang area. Comparing with Indian result, the radon concentration is much higher than India. This concentration is derived from the building material and also the structure of houses with a low ventilation rate. Next slide, please. This slide summarizes the annual effective dose. You see the total annual effective average dose is 5 millisievert per year from the radon and thorium inhalation. And on the other hand, in terms of external dose, this is about 1.2 millisievert, not so high. At the bottom, you can see the worldwide average from the ARCHIPELAGO report. Radon dose is 1.2 millisievert, thorium dose 0.1, gamma dose, external dose is 0.5. You see, as you can compare the two results. Next slide, please. Here's a summary of based on our survey in high background radiation area, India and China. We conducted a comprehensive dose assessment in these areas. In India, external dose seems significantly higher than the internal one. Internal dose will be negligible due to housing structure. The main dose is derived from thorium-232 decay series radionuclides. In China, internal dose seems somewhat higher than the external one. Also, thorium dose seems comparable for radon dose. Next slide, please. This slide shows the difference between acute and chronic radiation exposures. As you can see, blue color represents the the atomic bomb survivors with acute exposure, you see there is a linear relationship between radiation dose and cancer risk among atomic bomb survivors. The relationship is very clear above 100 millisievert. On the other hand, the red color represents the Kerala, India study with chronic exposure. There is no increase of cancer risk regardless of radiation dose in high background radiation area. There is no increase even above 600 millisievert. But in this figure, only external radiation exposure was considered. Next slide, please. So now we are going to the Indonesia situation. As you can see, here is there is in the center of this figure, the Mamuju city is located. So this color means ambient gamma dose rate. Red color is higher, the blue color, yellow and green blue color is lower dose rate. These data were obtained by in situ measurement using a pocket survey meter. Ambient dose equivalent rate was ranged from 10 to 2,800 nanosievert per hour. Next slide, please. Here is the outline of Mamuju. Mamuju is the capital city of West Sulawesi province. The population is about 300,000 as of 2018. There are 11 districts and 88 villages. There are 2 seasons, summer and rainy season. 60 people are working in the agricultural sector. The primary commodity of agriculture's product is cocoa. As the most disease are upper respiratory tract infection and gastritis and gastritis. The life force index is about 67 years old. Next slide, please. So we conducted a field survey in Mamuju area. We made a comprehensive dose assessment. In terms of external exposure, we measured terrestrial gamma radiation measurement by carbon survey, and we measured natural radioactivity concentration in soil. As a second topic, internal exposure, we made indoor and outdoor radon concentration continuously, and we made indoor radon measurement using passive radon detectors. Also, we measured radon activity concentrations in drinking water. Next slide, please. In terms of ambient dose rate measurement, we carried out a carbon survey. In the right photo shows a sodium iodine scintillation spectrometer system. And we put this device in the center of the car. And we measured gamma dose rate together with geographical location using GPS. Next slide, please. Then we could obtain this figure, this map. As you see, we can find a high dose rate in Mamuju area with a red color. that gamma dose rate ranged widely from low level to extremely high level. Next slide, please. Also, we made a natural radioactivity concentration in soil. We collected soil samples, and also we measured gamma spectra using sodium iodine scintillation spectrometer. As you see, black data, gamma data was obtained in our city, Hirosaki, but other one was were given in Mamuju area. There is a 10 to 100 times difference between two areas. Next slide, please. Also, we measured continuous radon measurements using a continuous radon monitor. You see, lower figure shows the time variation of radon concentration indoors and outdoors. But surprisingly, there is the same level indoors and outdoors. Normally, indoor radon concentration level is higher than outdoors. But in this area, the radon activity concentration is almost the same, with the same variation. Next slide, please. And also, in order to estimate annual effective dose due to radon, we put passive radon detectors. This radon detector was developed by our research group, which can measure radon and toron concentrations separately. You can get this article from QR code. The next one. Next slide, please. For quality assurance and quality control of our measurement data, we built a calibration system. Every time before we carry out radon measurement, first of all, we have to calibrate our own detectors using this radon chamber. Next slide, please. Also, we measured radon concentration in drinking water. People in Mamuju, people in that area are using well water for drinking. That's why we collected several water samples and measured radon in water. Next slide, please. As a result, we estimated the dose. The comprehensive dose assessment provided 27 millisievert per year in that area. First, external exposure, average dose is 3.8 millisievert based on carbon survey. The second, internal exposure, give us 22 millisievert per year. So the range of internal exposure is 7.4 to 60.61 millisievert. The third, internal exposure due to ingestion. The average dose is 1.1 millisievert, which value exceeded international regulation level. The range ranges from 0.34 to 2.3 millisievert. Next. So you can see, you can get any information due to scientific literatures. so you can download freely. So this is the last slide. So thank you for your kind attention.
So thank you very much, Tokonami Sensei, for the excellent presentation. So maybe any question regarding the presentation? So we have the question. First, since the bubble area has a high level of dikecilin aja, Bu. Oke. Since the bubble Bangka Belitung area has a high level of mining activities, would it be possible that the level of outdoor radon is also high in this area? Oh, this is from Danisang. Thank you, Danisang.
Thank you for your question. Actually, radon concentration depends on the housing structure, also building material. So we need to know, we need to understand the building materials, also housing structure. I don't think this, as long as I see the housing structure, the radon concentration is not so high compared to Mamuju area.
Yes.
Okay.
Next question. So the next is for anonymously. How to inspect building and identify what kind of indoor air pollutant or outside air pollutants?
It's a very primary question. First of all, we have to measure building materials, also soil, air, water, and water. We have to measure. Then we can understand what happened with radiation exposure. Question?
From Wiwin Evrizal, that is any sign that we can understand for the radioactivity exposure to the body, Sensei.
Is it not possible to detect radiation from our body? Right? It's okay. If you have a whole body counter, you can see any people has a potassium 40 with natural radioactive materials, also carbon 14. So Dr. Omori mentioned.
For the all question is already finished. Oh, the last one is how big the impact of mining radiation exposure to the people and how the best radiation protection.
Thank you for your very significant question. At least the mining activity is not always associated with radiation level. But probably in this area, we have to pay attention to the heavy metal pollution as well as radiation, radioactive waste. So this is, and also we need to establish some guideline against the radiation exposure and pollution, heavy metal pollution. So we are planning to start our project in this area if our project is approved by our both governments. So we can have such kind of outcome. Okay.
So thank you, Sensei. Maybe this is the last question. So, and thank you very much for your excellent presentation. So maybe this is the last of our presenter for the radiation section. Thank you very much for the audience and thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eka. We have such a great moderator, also speaker today. And all the respected audience, the next event is the awarding of certificates to the speakers and moderators by directors. Please welcome to Mr. Ahyat and also along with the speakers and moderator to the stage. Yeah, please welcome, sir. For all the respected audience in the Zoom meeting, let us take break for a moment to take picture.
Saya sama tenis. One, two, three. Once again.
Thank you so much for all the inviters. Now we are ready for the next session. And now please help me welcome our second moderator, Mr. Nazlian Shah. Eminence, floor is yours. all the respected attendants. I'm really sorry due to heavy rain and unstable connection. We cannot connect it to Mr. Naziransa in Belitung. So let me call our moderator, Mr. Ashar Abilawo. Please welcome to the stage. Thank you.
Cek. Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Mrs. Anissa. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our session of our international seminar, Optimization of Radiation Protection in the Archipelago. Okay. My name is Asara Bilowo, and I'm going to be moderator in this session. Due to heavy raining in Belitung, so unstable condition in Belitung. Okay, so I'll be moderator in this session to saying my partner, Mr. Naziansha. Okay. We have a speaker who is already with us here, Mrs. Husnul Fatimah. Okay, are you with us?
Yes, moderator, thank you, Mr. Ashar.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mrs. Husnul Fatimah. Okay, I will read your. Okay, Mrs. Husnul Fatimah, MCAS. Okay, this Department of Pharmacology, Faculty of Medicine, in Brawijaya University, right? That education undergrad at the graduation Mathematics and Natural Science Faculty Universitas Brawijaya, Malang, and then master program Biomedical Science Faculty of Medicine Universitas Brawijaya, doctoral program Faculty of Medicine UB, Frontier Science Kumamoto University, Japan, and work experience. She had a lot of experience. Head of Publication Unit, Faculty of Medicine, UB. Head of Research and Community Service Unit, Faculty of Medicine, UB. Head of Pharmacology Laboratory, Faculty of Medicine, UB. Expert staff of Vice Rector in Academic Affairs, UB. Again, there are many research she has. Okay. And for your information, our audience are faculties, students, and people also who joined in Zoom meeting, YouTube, and YouTube streaming. So I will say hello to our audience. Hello, everybody. So thank you have joined with us. Okay, to Mrs. Husnul Khotimah, we have about about 20 minutes to presentation. So we can start by now. And so please, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashar, for nice introduction. Is my voice clear enough?
Yes, clear enough.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I will share my presentation. Yeah, first of all, I would like to thanks to the committee to having me to the international conference. It's very nice also to meet Professor Tokonami, Professor Yoshinaga, Professor Rawadi, and also Dr. Omori and Ibu Eni, MSc. And I'm a little bit changed my topic because I'm just afraid it will be overlapped with Professor Rawadi. So my topic today is about radio protection of using antioxidants. Okay, Professor Tokonami, Professor Yoshinaga, and also Omari Sensei already explained about what is radiation, how radiation infect our health, and also the kind of radiation. So, well, I'm already visit Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and last visit on last July. Visiting Peace Memorial Hiroshima is really horrible. So I think the radiation is very dangerous to our health in case in high dose or in acute. But today, Professor Tokonami and other speakers already explained about the dose, how the route, and etc. So I think we are not really worried about the radiation because also we have a protection for the radiation. Today I will talk about the antioxidant role for the radio protection. I think about this slide we already explained by a previous speaker about the radiation. Well, radiation is the energy that comes from a source and travel through the material or space, and it's called also as electromagnetic waves. And then the source of radiation also already mentioned. We know that the most source of the radiation, about 82%, is from natural background radiation, and 18% from man-made radiation. And this man-made radiation divided by 16% from consumer products, 21% in nuclear medicine, and 58% from medicinal X-ray, and the rest is from others. Yeah, this is also already mentioned by the previous speaker. I don't need to explain about it, but this is very important, I think, to discuss about why the radiation become very dangerous to our health, because the radiation can produce free radicals by ionization, and then it's produce the electrons and then hydroxyl radicals. We know that hydroxyl radicals is very, very dangerous and reactive oxygen species that can attack many molecules, especially macromolecule in our body, such as DNA, protein, and also the membrane. These hydroxyl radicals excitation by from the H2O or water, and then produce the hydroxyl radicals, and also this is the process of ionization and recombination of ions and radicals. So it will produce hydroxyl radicals and the other hydrogen peroxides. In the presence of oxygen, this radiation also produce the superoxide. We know that superoxide also have the worst effect to our body. And this figure can explain to us that radiation can increase ROS, reactive oxygen species such as superoxide, hydroxyl radicals, and hydrogen peroxide. Related to the P53 gene, that we know that P53 gene roles as the tumor suppressor gene, tumor suppressor genes that the rows have two part of the role of two dangers to our body. First, by mild rose, and the other one is excessive rose. And the mild rose, I think if we get the exposure in chronic but in low dose of radiation, maybe will happen in our body. The antioxidant in our body will increase, but if it will continue happen, it can reduce the molecule of antioxidants. But our body have defense to combating the radiation effect in low dose. But the excessive effect, we can provide the rose in a huge amount, so it will be make pro-oxidants like PUMA and decreasing of antioxidant. So this effect can cause the peroxidation of lipid, protein misfolding, and also DNA strand breaking. This is the mechanism of radiation. Professor Omori Sensei already explained about the direct and indirect effect of the radiation. This is indirect effect. We know that this electron will be changed by H2O and produce hydroxyl radicals, and then will be bind to the DNA, double-stranded DNA, and will be break the DNA formation. And the other side, the direct effect is the electron directly bind to the backbone of the DNA, so it will be break the DNA, so the DNA damage can cause the apoptosis of the cells. So our discussion today is about the role of antioxidant for minimize or mitigation effect of radiation. So is that antioxidant could minimize? It is the big question, and mitigation effect of radiation. I saw the many questions relating to this question to the previous speaker. We know that there are three specific targets for radiation. First is nucleus. Nucleus, we know that nucleus is contained of the genetic materials such as DNA. And the second one, the sensitive part of the cell is membrane cell. We know the cell membrane is contained of lipid bilayer. We know that lipid is having a double bond, so it's really easy to attack by the oxidative stress or virus. And then the third organelle that very sensitive to the radiation is mitochondria. But mitochondria have the specific protection. So if we found the review or research about the effect radiation to the mitochondria is still rare, because mitochondria have protection effect. Besides, mitochondria also have their own DNA. So the DNA can replace the DNA of mitochondrial damage. And we know that the role of mitochondria, beside of the energy production, mitochondria has its own DNA, and then mitochondria have the role for the apoptosis process in the cells. Okay, now we will talk about the one by one of the organelles. First, we know the nucleus is a very important part of the cells. If the radiation could affect directly, like on the slide before, so the DNA that bind with electron for radiation, it can cause DNA damage. So how the mechanism of antioxidant can protect the nucleus, especially DNA, from radiation? First, the antioxidant have to present at the time of radiation or before the radiation. We can give the many research give prevention effect of radiation. So the antioxidant give 1, 2 weeks or 1 month before the exposure of radiation. The second is inhibit the genotoxicity, the reaction with all the oxygen-related free radicals, and also those antioxidants could have detoxify the free radicals from the radiation. The third is effectively compete with oxygen to repair the damage. We know that we have many oxygen in our body, so the oxygen, if react to the free radicals from radiation, so it will be huge amount which become booming the ROS or reactive oxygen species or nitrogen species. So the antioxidant have to compete. So it can be faster to bind to the oxygen before the free radicals bind to the DNA. So the damage of the DNA can inhibit. And a very important antioxidant for the protection of DNA is thiol-based antioxidant. We know that glutathione have many role to scavenge stress oxidative redox through the redox regulations, and also decreasing oxidative stress, and also iron sulfur metabolism, protein folding, and also detoxifying, because it's have chemical repair for the DNA damage. Thiol binds to the DNA, compete with ROS, and then protect the DNA so the cell could be survived. And what kind of antioxidant we can grouping the antioxidant become two parts. The first is natural antioxidants we can found from caffeine. So are you like, would you like to drink coffee every day? I think it's yeah, a little bit useful, but again, the dose is a matter. So besides caffeine, we also have melatonin. Melatonin is indigenous antioxidant in our body, and also flavonoid and phenols. Flavonoid and phenols we can found from herbs or natural resources. I think Professor Rawadi will explain about it more detail about it. And the second is a synthetic antioxidant. We have amifostine, captopril, NAC or N-acetylcysteine, and the other important antioxidant synthesis is WR1065. This is an antioxidant that very much used for the research to combating the effect of radiation. The second part, the second organelle that very sensitive to the radiation is cell membrane. We know that this is the structure of cell membrane. If it's got the ionization radiation, so the cell membrane could damage. We know that the cell membrane is the first barrier for the cells. Once it's damaged, so the first protection for the cell will be lost. So many kinds of materials outside of cell can enter to the cell through the cell membrane damage, and then the ROS production is happened and DNA damage also occur. So both of these mechanisms will driving to the cell death and also genomic instability that can cause cancer, like Professor Tokonami said before. So for antioxidant inhibiting lipid peroxidation, especially in cell membrane, we have three kinds of antioxidant. First is synthetic antioxidants. For example, we have diethyl dithiocarbamate, or shorting DDTC. It has twice time to inhibit the lipid peroxidation. And number two is disulfiram. Based on the research, disulfiram can decrease about 65% for lipid peroxidation. And the second is flavonoid and luteolin. This is the from natural resources. This is reporting could decrease 4 times, decreasing for the lipid peroxidation in bone marrow. And the third one is tocopherol monoglucoside. This we know that tocopherol is lipid soluble vitamin, but modification of the structure of this vitamin can also soluble in water. So, for example, Trolox. Trolox can soluble in both in membrane and also in water or cytoplasm. These tocopherol or Trolox can scavenge oxygen radicals such as peroxide, superoxide, and hydroxyl radicals in both water and lipid phase. And Trolox also increasing glutathione peroxidase. Well, these antioxidants, it should have a characterization. First, have the ability to scavenge lipid radical and react with lipid peroxide in membrane. And the second one have to provide for the maximum interaction with compound with cytosolic reducing agent, for example, ascorbic acid or GSH, to regenerate the antioxidant. The third organelle that very sensitive to the radiation is mitochondria. Mitochondria is very specific organ because we have more than 1,000 mitochondria in one cell. So, and also it has owned DNA. So if the DNA damage, the mitochondria can replace or repair the own DNA. The radiation can increase growth in mitochondria. Inside the mitochondria, we know that many kinds of protein regarding to the apoptosis process, for example, cytochrome C. Once the production of ROS in the mitochondria, it could leakage the membrane, both inner and outer membrane of mitochondria, so it will be released the cytochrome C. The cytochrome C then through the cascade reaction and then finally can cause the apoptosis. And the other side, the ROS can also activate the P53 and also the affect the PUMA, NOXA, and also bugs that can cause again worsen the mitochondrial condition and finally can increase the apoptosis of the cells. So on the other side, antioxidant capacity of mitochondria that other organs don't have this special things is because the inside of mitochondria there are interaction between GSH, glutathione peroxidase, and also reductase, and also MNSOD. We know that our SOD divided to two kinds, CU, CYP, and SOD. We can find it in cytoplasm, and the other one is MNSOD that we can find in mitochondria. This is the antioxidant endogene that we have, and the number is big enough, consists in mitochondria. So the antioxidant for mitochondria, we can see the first is vitamin E, because as I said before, the vitamin E is a lipid soluble vitamin. So this vitamin can protect the membrane, both the inner and outer membrane of mitochondria. The most important vitamin E is D-alpha tocopherol. This is the most potent antioxidant. Because the D-alpha tocopherol metabolized become alpha-D tocopheroxyl radicals. These radicals can scavenge the many kinds of radicals, and also it can be self-reaction with the same molecule. I mean, alpha tocopheroxyl radicals so will be made a dimer. You know, dimer, the same molecule bind together. It's become dimer, and it will be not become free radicals, and it will take the function back as antioxidant. Number two, antioxidant for mitochondria is very famous antioxidant. We know that coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10 have essential component for the electron transport chain, powerful antioxidant that removes free radicals, many kind of free radicals. And the second is inhibits the initiation and propagation of lipid peroxidation in cellular biomembranes. We know that many kinds of organelles have membrane, not only on the cell membrane, not only on the mitochondria, but we also have reticulum endoplasmic, it's also consists of biomembranes. And the coenzyme Q10 also at the regeneration of alpha tocopherol, so the function of alpha tocopherol as antioxidant will be increased. The third function of coenzyme Q10 is increasing the level of G acid and mitochondrial antioxidant enzyme, or MNSOD. The other antioxidant that we have is melatonin. Melatonin is our pigment and it also have a function for antioxidant. Melatonin can increase oxidation and phosphorylation efficiency, so it will be decrease the electron leakage, and then finally will be decrease the ROS production. The second one, the increase of glutathione level. We know that glutathione is very potential antioxidant. So besides of antioxidant for three organelles, we also have to consider about the apoptosis. We know that the damage of the effect of the radiation is to DNA damage. The double-stranded DNA will be disrupted, so the fragmentation of the DNA will be lead to the apoptosis process. So if we can inhibit the apoptosis process, it's may protect our body from the radiation exposure. So the antioxidant inhibit for apoptosis, the first is Trolox or vitamin E that can inhibit lipid peroxidation, and also calcium increase. We know that the process lipid peroxidation, when lipid peroxidation occur, the calcium can enter to the cells. We know that the different state of the calcium outside and inside the cell is 10,000 times. So if we have a very little or very small or narrow gap, the calcium will be enter to the cell very strong. And we know that the role of the calcium, one of the role of calcium is for the apoptosis process. The second, the combination of SOD and catalase. SOD and catalase, this combination is very important because the potential of SOD and catalase is bigger than SOD and catalase giving alone. And the third one, this is, I think Professor Rawadi will talk about this more detail, maybe. The green tea polyphenol, we call epigallocatechin, that could inhibit cleavage of the caspase-3. We know that caspase-3 is the executor for the apoptosis process. And I already mentioned about the role of WR1065. This is the synthetic antioxidant that modulates the gene related apoptosis such as caspase and also DNA checkpoints and also the fast kinase.
Excuse me, Mrs. Husna.
Yeah.
The time is 5 minutes left.
Okay, just 2 more slides. Thank you. This is tissue-based radiation. Before I talk about the radiation effect to the cells, and now I will talk about the radiation effect to the tissue. The tissue and organ and also our body can affect from this radiation, and it causes vascular dysfunction, oncogenesis, fibrosis, and also chronic inflammation. This is many kinds of biological markers that evaluate from the research that we know that finally we know that these kind of molecular marker can modulate, can increase or decrease depend on this role by the kind of antioxidants. For example, for the vascular dysfunction, we have SOD and acylcysteine and other antioxidant. For the oncogenesis, we have thiol groups, and for the fibrosis, we have both CUZ and SOD and also MNSOD and also pentoxifylline. Pentoxifylline combination with alpha tocopherol have very potent antioxidant for the inhibit the fibrosis due to the radiation. And also some of the antioxidant like epicatechin, transresveratrol, and also diaflavin can inhibit the many inflammation mediators, and also an acetylcysteine and catalase can increase the anti-inflammatory cytokines. This is pro-inflammatory cytokines. So this is very important, I think, during radiotherapy because of the role of antioxidant. We know that radiotherapy function is to destroy the cell cancer. So large amount of antioxidant may reduce radiation therapy damage to the cell cancers. So the amount of antioxidant in food will be not affect in your radiation treatment because the number or the dose of the antioxidant from the foods is not as much as antioxidant that we get from the supplement or the vitamin. If it's possible, stop the antioxidant supplement 1 week before and after treatment. This is the role of the a number of dose of antioxidant that we have to avoid when we get the radiotherapy. This is kind of resource of vitamin C and vitamin E that will be explained, I think, by Professor Rawadi. I think this is the end of my talks. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I give it back to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Husnul Fatimah, for your presentation. So we already question from the participant in Zoom meeting. We have Mr. Dwi Ramadhani. Could you please your question?
Oh, okay. Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah. First of all, thank you for the presentations, Dr. Husnul. So my name is Ramadhani. So I came from Nuclear Agency of Indonesia, or previously known as Batan. So we are currently working on developing radioprotector agent originating from natural compound, and we want to know, based on your experience or based on your what you know, which Indonesian endemic plants that have the highest antioxidant levels and promises to be used as radioprotector agents. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Ramadhani from Batan. This is very good and very important question. We know we are one of a country that have mega biodiversity. That we have thousand and billion kind of resource, not only from the plants but also from the microbes and from the marine resource that we can develop as drugs, maybe, or supplement at least to protect the disease and also cure the disease. As long as I know the potential antioxidants is, maybe for the my experience, my colleague tell me about the I'm not remember the Latin name of buah merah from Papua, I think. My colleague internist tell me about the bleeding of the patients. Some of patients at that time, because we know that the herbal medicine is like booming at the certain time and then changed by the other antioxidants or the other herbs. At that time, the using of buah merah is very famous. So the patient without permission to the doctors their doctors, so the patient have bleeding. So this our colleague tell me that why it could happen. So I want some sample of I took the samples of buah merah and I bring it to my lab, and then I give it to the mice and rat. I give it some dose of those buah merah, and then I get the what is called the gut and also the GI tract become perforation. So that's why the patients and also my animal models had bleeding, and from that result, we evaluate that the antioxidant activity, especially vitamin C, is very high. Comparing to the other natural antioxidants. So it will be very important for us to intake the antioxidant, but whatsoever we call it, nature is safe, I think it's not really true, because the nature also have active compounds that we have to consume it in a certain dose. So the one of the example that have very potential antioxidant is like this buah merah, because as long as known and from the many experiments show that the activity is very high. So again, the using of the antioxidant, especially vitamin C, we have to be very careful, because the what we call dihydroxy acid radicals can cause cannot regenerate like vitamin A or alpha tocopherol. So if we don't have another antioxidant, so this vitamin C is become pro-oxidant in our body. So it will be worsen the condition of the patients. So I'm suggesting if we consume the vitamin C in high dose, we should combine with other antioxidants such as vitamin E. Another examples is what we call manggis. Apa ya bahasa? Manggis, ya. Moringa.
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 Olivera.
Moringa olivera, I think.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, kelor.
I'm sorry.
Xanthan, one of active compounds of the manggis is a xanthan. Another colleague from the what we call specialist mata. They tell me that I have patients that have a bleeding in their ichus humor. So the patient have no symptoms before, because these patients, women, these women come to the doctors and they said that they are bleeding in her eyes. So the doctor asked about what you consume at least several days or several weeks. So she said that she consumed the manggis. And then in our study, the toxicity of mangosteen also, we have to be careful, because it has the vasodilator to increasing the nitric oxide. We know the nitric oxide is vasodilator. So as our blood vessel dilate very much, so it can be broke out, and then the blood will be outside from the blood vessel. So that's why it happened in the arterial tumor, and we can imagine if it happened in our brains. So the maybe stroke or another worst thing would be happen. So this is the example of in my experience, the natural compounds have the very potential antioxidant that can use maybe for the protection for the radiation. I think this is my answer from my experience, maybe, and I hope you can understand, and maybe you can have some fruitful for you, for Mr. Ramadhani. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dwi Ramadhani. And then next question. Okay. Is there any specific amount of sufficient antioxidant present in the body at the time of radiation? And how much exposure of radiation can antioxidant in the body can endure to reduce? This is from YouTube channel. Check. Afina Rahma. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question, Mrs. Mrs. Afina Rahma. Yeah, in my slide, I will share again those slides. Yeah. Yeah, this is the example of the certain antioxidant that we have to prohibit consume more than this number. So we have to, yeah, our daily intake for vitamin C, it's not more than 90 milligrams per day. And also for women, about 75. We know that the vitamin C we can found in drink, or like gummy, we can find 500 or even 1,000. So we don't need that much. So if our body have the another antioxidant activity, we can normalize the free radicals due to the vitamin C that we consume. So if we don't have we don't have antioxidant activity, it's very good. For example, in case we are in the radiotherapy activity, radiotherapy process. So this vitamin should be very certain, have the very strict border, the doses that can intake to us, because again this radiotherapy increase the free radicals. Don't add the free radical by the consume or intake vitamin C more than dosage that allow for the daily consumption. I think this is my question. This is the answer.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Husnu. Okay, I think enough for the question and answer, because the time is already end. And thank you very much for Mrs. Husnul Khotimah for your presentation. We have a new insight from your presentation about herbal-based antioxidant activity in protecting cells against the effect of radiation, such as from buah merah from Papua, and then mangosteen. Then we are from Indonesia, so we have sort of antioxidant as many as we can eat in here. Okay, thank you very much for your
Thank you,
coming.
moderator. Thank you, committee, and thank you for the participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will leave this. So.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, Mr. Nasilasya, are you with us?
Yes, I'm on here. Thank you, Abi, for inviting me in this next session.
Yes.
We will next to the further speakers. Our speakers now from Thailand. I would like to introduce that in this session, Achan Associate Professor Riwadi Chongsuat will discuss with us about the topic, the title antioxidant activity of plants in Thailand for radiation protection. And as the regulation in this seminar, we have 30 minutes for presentation and 10 minutes for discussion. But before all, I would like to introduce for all of audience the curriculum vitae from our speakers today. Wait a minute. So sorry, because I'm not be the host here. It's okay, but I would like to introduce that Professor Riwadi Chongsuat, now as the lecturer in the Mahidol University of Thailand, and in the position of Department of Nutrition, Faculty of Public Health, Mahidol University of Thailand, and the head of department for 2 consecutive terms, and then candidate chair of master program. The education background, she was graduate from the Master of Science and Home Economic, Ohio University, United States, and the Doctor of Philosophy and Food, Nutrition, Dietetics, New York University, USA. And about the expertise of the research interest study, she has had a lot of study. I could not explain more, but the expertise and research interest of Achan Dr. Riwadi Chongswat about food and nutrition related behavior, weight management, food consumption behavior, and health nutrition promotion model, and also dietary assessment. It's a nice topic, and we can discuss more about everything in an antioxidant. So, Achan Dr. Riwadi Chongswat, welcome to Indonesia, and the screen is yours now. Please.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very honored, and I'd like to share my slides. Okay, and thank you, Dr. Kotima, for the introduction of the mechanism of the antioxidants. So I will focus on antioxidants and some of the products that has been produced in Thailand. Before we go on to the antioxidant information, I would like to present a timeline about the research on food antioxidants. We did not, interested in antioxidants until currently. You will see it coming up on the far right, is functional food design. So now I think globally we are interested in functional food. So that's why antioxidants, especially phytochemical, are interested at the focus of the research. But in the beginning, the antioxidant only focusing in the industrial process at the food additive. And then it's been taking about almost, I think, more than 60, 70 years that now we are interested in antioxidants. When I did my PhD, we didn't, antioxidant, especially in phytochemical, is not nutrients. So it's a functional ingredient. So we will see the products is coming out now at this period of time. Okay, so as Dr. Kotima has mentioned that the major antioxidant from natural is vitamin C, and then vitamin E, as we all know, and then alpha lipoic acid and carotenoid. In the beginning, these are the antioxidants that we interested in. And as you know that these are the function of the vitamin C, vitamin E, and also alpha lipoic acid, and also carotenoid, which has been a focus in the research. And source of antioxidants, as we mentioned in the early days, that we interested in antioxidant as the food additive, for example, BHA, BHT as a food additive in this product, for example, cereal, chewing gum, vegetable oil, bakery products, and BHT in vegetable oil, bakery product, meat product, essential oil, mainly as the prevent rancidity or oxidation in the product. So these are the beginning of the interest in antioxidant. And now in vitamin C, or ascorbic acid. The food source is in fresh fruit, especially citrus fruit and vegetable, and also vitamin E, which is naturally occur in vegetable oils, and also carotenoids and in fruit, vegetable, and eggs, and also B2, which is in liver, and polyphenolic. This is a very big group. Especially we are focusing on resveratrol and flavonoid, which is a big group. And the food sources including tea, coffee, soy, fruit, olive oil, chocolate, cinnamon, oregano, and maybe some other speaker will focusing on herbs and spices, okay, and red wine because of its making from grapes, okay. And the recommendation or RDA for vitamin C or ascorbic acid, this is the amount that recommend as Dr. Kotima has mentioned. For adults, female is 75 milligram and male is 90 milligram. But mostly people are taking vitamin C as the supplement higher than the RDA amount. Some people take up to 1,000 a day. It's been studied that taking a high dose of vitamin C is making the cold, severity of the cold, lessen the severity, but not preventing the cold. So that's why people are taking high doses of ascorbic acid. Okay, so this is the function of vitamin C is to protection against immune system deficiency, preventing cardiovascular diseases, reducing skin wrinkle, which is from oxidation. Okay, these are the amount of vitamin C content in food per serving. So it is from the ranking is the highest is red pepper. So I think you might want to include that in your diet. But as I mentioned, the citrus fruit are another major source of vitamin C. Also kiwi. Probably in Indonesia, you have a lot of kiwi fruit. Okay, so these are one serving of this fruit will meet the 100 daily value of the vitamin C. And also in vitamin E. So these are the RDA for vitamin E. So naturally, we can get vitamin E from cooking oil. Okay, so these are the the oil that I'm not sure. I think wheat germ oil is very high, but normally it's not very common in terms of taking the wheat germ oil. So mostly you will see that sunflower oil. I'm not sure in Indonesia what kind. You probably use coconut oil in your cooking. So in my presentation, I will mention about rice bran oil, which I've been working on in my study. Okay, so with different kind of oil, you will get naturally vitamin E. And also carotenoids. The most common dietary carotenoid, including alpha-carotene, beta-carotene, beta-cystathionine, lutein, zeaxanthin, and lycopene. So you will picture the color of carotenoid is orange and red, especially in carrots, which is for vitamin A, and also lycopene, which is in tomato. And I will later in my slide will talking about the effect of cooking on these antioxidants. And also provitamin A, you probably have question between beta carotene and alpha carotene. If you're looking at the retinol activity equivalent, you will see that beta carotene has a RAE ratio higher than alpha carotenoid. And food source of alpha carotenoid, as I mentioned, it will be in the orange yellow color. Even though you will see collard and green vegetable, it still contain alpha carotenoid. You can tell by when you keep the green vegetable for a long time, it will turn yellow. But when it's fresh, the green color has masked the yellow color. That's why we didn't see carotene in the green vegetable. But once it gets old, it will present the yellow color. Okay. So these are the serving size and the amount of alpha carotene in milligram. And also the beta carotene, which is in the literature or in the research. When we were interested in antioxidants and people are taking beta carotene as a supplement, so and then it has a toxic effect on the person. So that's why we would recommend to take it from natural food, because for example, you can eat a lot of carrot because it will naturally make you feel full. But if you take it as a tablet, it could be overdoses of the beta carotene. That's why we wouldn't recommend taking beta carotene as the supplement. Okay, so as we show here, you can get enough beta carotene from various vegetables, as I shown here. So in terms of the implementation, we should eat a variety of this kind of vegetable or various kind of the source of antioxidants. So we will get enough antioxidants. And also beta-cryptoxanthin. So these are the amounts in terms of the milligram. So as again, picture it as the orange and red color in the food product. So you will get enough. And probably from yellow corn also, anything that gives you yellow and orange color. And also lycopene. The major source of lycopene is in tomato. And as we know that lycopene is higher when we cook. So compare with fresh tomato in salad and tomato sauce in spaghetti. So in tomato spaghetti, tomato sauce for spaghetti or tomato sauce, tomato soup, the lycopene is higher as compared to the fresh one. So that's why cooking has something to do with the antioxidant. Okay. So, and also this is lutein and zeaxanthin. So, okay. And the sources of lutein is mostly in, again, in green vegetable and also in egg yolk contains some, but not a lot, because 1 cup of raw of raw egg yolk only give 0.2 milligram. But if we eat, as I mentioned, egg is the cheapest source of protein. So we can eat egg every day actually, and other kind of vegetable. So maybe in our cooking, we probably will have spinach, broccoli, and kale. I'm not sure in Indonesia cooking, but in Thai or Chinese cooking. So these are the vegetables commonly eaten. And the side effect of carotenoid, okay, centroderma, so it's like the yellow. Sometimes if you consume too much, you will turn like a yellow. Somebody mentioned my hand also that if I have too much of carotenoid, I'm not sure. So this is the side effect of carotenoid. And safety in pregnancy and lactation. High dose of beta carotene taking might have not been associated with increased risk of birth defects. So it should be safe to take carotenoid. But again, as I mentioned, mostly we wouldn't recommend consuming beta carotene as a supplement. Okay. And this is another source, especially in Thailand, is in rice bran. So it's called antioxidant called gamma original. And I have been working on this product, and I will show you the research later on. So this is the grain of rice, and then we take out the husk, and then we still have rice germ and rice bran, and then so normally we would recommend the population to eat brown rice, so it contains higher nutrient in terms of fiber and B vitamin, and also in rice bran is still the rice bran still intact, so you will get gamma original from rice bran. And also my colleague and I has been working on rice bran oil containing gamma original improve lipid profile and antioxidant status in hyperlipidemic subject, and is double blind control trial. And we have 4 groups of participants that consume 4,000, 8,000, and 11,000 ppm of gamma original dairy for 4 weeks. And then we provide food for the subject, which contain 15 for each group. And the control group is having soybean oil in the food. And we providing the participants the food every day, 3 meals for 4 weeks. And then we measure antioxidant capacity in terms of ORAC and FRAP. And we found that for the 8,000 and 11,000 ppm is lower, the effect is lower the lipid profile among the participants, and also is increased FRAP and ORAC, especially the ORAC is better in the 8,000 group. In the beginning of the market or the commercial, and the product, the rice bran oil products, they starting with 4,000 ppm, which is the bottom in the middle, and then for the right bottle, the left hand bottle is only contain 8,000 ppm, and the reason that we implemented 11,000 ppm because the company who supported the brand, they were planning to produce only 11,000 ppm, and then later on the market, because there are some products, rice bran oil product that import from China and India, so they have been increased to 13,000 ppm. So later on, the company, which is this brand King rice bran oil, they have been increased from 4,000 ppm to 8,000. And for the previous amount, which is on the left hand, 11,000, so they increased to 12,000. So in conclusion, so if we're taking 8,000, there is no difference between 8,000 and 11,000 ppm of rice bran oil. So this is, you can get a full paper from the my publication. Okay, and then another popular antioxidant, as we know, is catechin, which is we probably know that mostly we focusing that is in green tea. So this is the amount of the catechin, and as Dr. Gotima mentioned, that EP catechin is the main ingredient or the main compound in that function for catechin. These are the amounts of EP catechin. If we're looking at tea, it's about 6.2, but in apple, especially Granny Smith, the green one, it still contain EP catechin in 7.1. But mainly we focusing on green tea. So these are the amount of green tea, which is about 8.3 per 100 milligram. And also in other products, for example, blueberry and chocolate. Okay, so we also get catechin in this product. Okay, and many natural products, as we can see that by looking at the color. So these are the 5 nice color of natural fruit and vegetable that contain antioxidants. And so in terms of implementation to the population, we should focusing on promoting the people to eat variety of fruit and vegetable. But it's easy said than done. Even in Thailand, we have abundance of fruit and vegetable, but from the national survey, the population who meet the recommendation of food and vegetable intake, which is 400 grams, is only half of the population. The average intake is about 170 something grams of food and vegetable, which is not even half of the recommendation. So these are the antioxidant that contain in various kind of fruit and vegetable. And we have promoted from Heart Foundation that five colors a day for a better health, meaning that we introduces the fruit and vegetable in terms of the color. And we did a placement for one of the restaurants in Thailand to introduce intake of fruit and vegetable. Okay, and also just to give you some of the information on ORAC information, mainly I think we will have another speaker talking about in terms of the herb and spices. So this is the one that we probably familiar is cinnamon, turmeric, and oregano, which is cooking in I think in Thai culture. But also Dr. Gotima mentioned about mangosteen. So this is the ORAC database on the various food and herbs. Okay, I mentioned about the effect of cooking on food composition. For example, in terms of boiling, there are methods of cooking, I think, but the most common among our culture probably boiling, steaming, microwaving. Baking is not probably not a common unless we taking bakery products. So frying, maybe stir fry and deep frying, and high pressure is probably not a common cooking method. So if we're looking at the cooking condition, we all know that the protein is not affected by cooking. And also in terms of the fiber, okay, it's probably increased and no, especially protein is not affecting by the method of cooking. Okay.
Chan, we have
And
3 minutes left.
okay, so and then for ascorbic acid, is, as we all know, that is very easy to lay by, so it's lost along the process in terms of ascorbic acid. And also, as I mentioned, in some of the product, we need to cook, for example, tomato, but some of the cooking method might reducing the TPC, which is stand for total phenolic content. So I will leave this slide. Maybe you would interested in various effect of in terms of cooking method that affect on total carotenoid content, total phenolic content, ascorbic acid content, or total glucosinated content, and anthocyanin content, and flavonoid content, and chlorophyll content. Maybe some of the information we already studied in food science. So these are the method that might affect in terms of the antioxidant. Again, we probably easier to focusing on the color of food and vegetable: green, orange, red, purple, white, red. So that's the color that we are focusing on. And as again, red cabbage, which is high in anthocyanin. So I think in our culture or our food, I think the color that are missing in our diet, I think is the red or purple color. So now we are focusing on, we might want to advocate the population to eat more of the purple food, like for example, red cabbage instead of green cabbage, red apple instead of green apple, and blueberry is not in our country, so it's more quite expensive. Maybe other like mulberry in Thailand is probably cheaper than blueberry, and we have a lot of study using mulberry as a source of anthocyanin. Okay, so I think that's it for my presentation, and there are details on the slide. So the participant might want to looking at the effect of the cooking on the phytochemical changes. For example, here, as I showed, that stir-fry, boiling, steaming in terms of bread might be using TAC. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you for Dr. Iwadi Chongswat, that the nice presentation, and we got many usefulness of the knowledge today, because a lot of source, the vegetable and natural source that will be the antioxidant for our life. And well, maybe all of the participants would like to directly give the answer for our speaker here. I give the time, please. If you have any question, maybe you can raise your hand on the screen and speak up of your statement or your discussion. But we will move to the pigeon hall. Achan, now we have the question from Wiwin Efrizal. I'm so sorry because this is used in Indonesia, but I will a little bit translate to the Indonesia. May Thai, Achan. Okay. Okay, so the question is, how if we use the antioxidant ingredient in sample for wash our hair, or for some lotion for our skin, and some of sort of antioxidant for out of our body. Have the antioxidant that used in shampoo or in the what we call
Affected.
and then lotion effective for our body?
It's locally. I mean, you apply your lotion and shampoo. I don't think it affects on the skin too much in term, unless, I mean, as compared to ingest, I think, because especially now I think is the gimmick of the products that they add everything. Even if you remember that one time the green tea was very popular.
Yes.
So they add green tea in everything. And so I don't believe that, I mean, in terms of the scientific, I don't think is has an effect as compared to the ingestion. And especially when green tea was very popular due to the catechin. And even in Thailand, we have this popular green tea drink. But the first thing that we have to aware is that is the catechin content in the bottle is high dose enough to has an effect as the antioxidant. So I think we have to educate the population that. So I think that is a good question. But for example, they add everything in the lotion now, even vitamin C, you add in lotion. So I think it has a late effect as compared to ingestion.
Okay, thank you Achan for your answer. Dan saya jelaskan kembali bahwa untuk lotion kemudian sampo itu harus memang diperhatikan komponnya ataupun zat yang memang terkandung di dalamnya, dan lebih efektif apabila di dalam kandungan lotion tersebut, ini lotion yang saya tangkap ya, kita ada ingredient vitamin C untuk membantu agar dampak atau efek dari antioksidan itu benar-benar baik buat kulit terutama. Oke. Thank you for the first question. I will give the chance for the second question. In the pigeonhole, maybe any question so far? Okay, Achan, this is the next question about the how do exogenous antioxidant trigger and increase in exogenous antioxidant capacity to prevent free radical? Okay, Achan, maybe you can turn to answer this question. Thank you.
I think it's probably back to the mechanism of the antioxidants in terms of inside, external and internal of the antioxidants. I think because you're talking about antioxidant from exogenous source. So I think it's better that you intake the antioxidant. So it has a mechanism working on the cell, as Dr. Kotima has mentioned. I think, yes. Answer the question.
Okay, thank you, Achan. Simple, but
yes.
Good. And top in the point, right? Because the antioxidant is very useful for our trigger. Yes, okay. Thank you, Achan. We have, because the limitation on our time,
okay,
maybe only
so
two
maybe next
question. Yes,
okay.
But maybe if some of participants want to ask more, I will forward for you.
You have my line.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and you will give me feedback for your response. Ask the question from our audience.
Okay.
Thank you, Achan, for today. Happy next
day. Thank
and
you for having me.
Nice to meet you. Sadikap.
Sadika.
Okay. Okay, I will move to the next presenters for today, and I move to Asar Abilowo as the moderator for the next session. Thank you and good night.
Cooperation. And please welcome Miss Emi Karinasari.
Am I audible? Oh yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Oh,
Miss,
we just start.
okay, no. Miss Amy Karese, how are you?
I'm very good. Yeah, I'm great.
Good. Okay, good. Okay, this is our last session of this international seminar. Okay, actually, I'm very nervous because this is my first chance to be a moderator in international seminar. Thank you very much, Miss Amy Karesari, to join with us. Okay, I will read your CV. Miss Amy Karinasari was born in Lombok, beautiful island, Lombok, Mataram. And now she's a lecturer and researcher in here in National Health Polytechnics of Pangkal Pinang, especially in nutrition. And she's has a Master of Science in Nutrition at King's College London 2016. And then her publications are Protective Role of Histidine Supplementation Against Oxidative Stress Damage in the Management of Anemia of Chronic Kidney Disease, Phytochemical Identification of Bangka Origin Virgin Green Coconut Oil, Anti-inflammatory and antibacterial potential, the effect of back rolling method with virgin coconut oil extract towards breast milk production on postpartum mother in Pangkal Pinang City, Indonesia. And then her proceedings and conference are phytochemical identification of Bangka origin virgin green coconut oil, anti-inflammatory and antibacterial potential, fat intake and dietary fiber intake associated with central obesity among adults in the Girimaya Health Center Pangkal Pinang. And then immunization, completeness, and timeliness, quality in Central Lombok District, Indonesia. And per award, our Indonesian endowment for education, master degree scholarship award 2014, Best Speaker Award, the first international conference on health, social science, and technology 2020. Okay, Miss Amy, your time is 20 minutes about your presentation, and
Okay.
next we question and answer about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so please.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello, everyone who is joining through the Zoom or the YouTube channel of Health Polytechnic of Pangkal Pinang. First of all, I'm very delighted to sit here and take part in this international seminars. As you know that I'm probably the youngest and most junior researchers among all the researchers from around the world that we know, from Tokonami Sensei to Omori Sensei, also Yoshinaga Sensei. And then we moved to Indonesia. There is Dr. Husnul Khotimah and also Professor Awadi Chongsuwat from Mahidol University. So it's such an honor, and thank you so much for the Center of Research Development of Poltekkes Pangkal Pinang for inviting me to be one of the speakers for today's event. So the topics of my talk is probably very simple. It's a studies that I've been concerning since 2019. It was started
through a simple idea that how to improve the health of children and mothers from the smallest part of it, and what can we improve through the local potentials. One of them is the coconut oil. We know that coconut oil is widely used, and we Indonesian, we love oily foods. We love things produced from coconuts, coconut milk. We use it almost every day in our cuisines. So it's really something that is, we are familiar with this components in our food. We use it almost every day. So as the outlines of the talks, it's really simple, just 4 things. The first one is the backgrounds of the studies and the studies that we have conducted, and then what kind of future studies that we plan to do, and we hope to get, we will be able to do that, of course, in the future, and the conclusion. Okay, next one. Of course, if we are starting a research, we come from problems that we found in the community or in the environment that we lived in. And in Bangka, we know that there is a lot of degenerative diseases. Also, we still have quite high numbers of stunted children. And these are correlated to oxidative stress and inflammation factors that are contributing into the diseases and also in the stunted children. In 2018, there are high numbers of stunted children in Bangka, about 25%. Of course, this is still a concern up to today in several districts. So the government, along with all the campus that are concerning in research and studies to improve the stunting problems in Bangka Belitung, we try to pay more attention to it. Also, the big concern is exclusive breastfeeding is still very low in the province. So we aim to explore about this and how do we improve this problem and how we ameliorate all of these problems and reduce the risk of stunted children in the future. Of course, we want Indonesia to be a healthy country and have a better generation in the future. Next. Yeah, talking again about the virgin coconut oil. The coconut oil we usually use is usually locally produced in Indonesia. Meanwhile, Bangka is one of the main plantation area of the coconut fruits. Also, the locals, usually the community, use it to cook in their household because it is really simple to produce. It is mostly easy to produce at home household level, and it's widely consumed and traditionally made. And if we look to the numbers of people using coconut in Bangka, maybe in almost household, almost every day, at least 3 times a week, they consume food based from coconuts. Next. So we move to the extraction methods of virgin coconut oil that we use in the study. Is we use the traditional methods. First is through heating. So first we grate the coconuts. After that, we pressed it to extract the coconut milk. After that, we separate the coconut milk into the coconut cream and water, and then we took only the coconut milk, coconut cream, and then we heat it to extract the oil from the coconut cream. So it's a very simple process, and the other method is through fermentation. The heating method, come back. The heating method uses heat to separate the oil from the coconut milk, but the fermentation method, or we know it as a cold press method, we use yeast. We mix it with the coconut milk, and then it will separate automatically between the water. We can see that there on the the picture in the middle, there are three pieces that is made because of the yeast fermentation. The bottom one is the water paste, and then on top of the water paste is the oil, the virgin coconut oil, and the topmost of the pieces are the coconut cream that are already separated from the oil. So we took only the oil and then we store it. Also, we need to note that virgin coconut oil is very sensitive to oxidation. So if you want to keep virgin coconut oil that you made or you buy from the store or online store, you better store it in the fridge because it's safer. Okay, next. Okay, what kind of studies that we did already regarding the virgin coconut oil in Poltekkes, Kemenkes Pangkal Pinang? So the first one is back in 2019, we did studies about the phytochemical analysis of virgin coconut oil. So after we extract the oil from the coconut oil, we analyze the phytochemical components, what kind of components that we can find inside the virgin coconut oil. So after a thorough studies with several repetition, we found out that in the virgin coconut oil, we can find alkaloids and saponins. Maybe these are not as popular as polyphenols or flavonoids, but alkaloids also promoted from the previous study before our studies that we found out that alkaloids also promoted inhibition of the production of inflammatory factors in the body, as well as it improved in the in vivo study in rats. It's found out to be improved nerve condition in disease such as Alzheimer and autoimmunes. Meanwhile, for saponins, it has a protective function against microorganisms. So that's why we can conclude that saponins has a potential to be an antibacterial agents, as well as what we found that VCO is contain alkaloids and saponin. These are why we assume that it has a potential to be an anti-inflammatory and antibacterial agents. Okay. After we did a study in the lab, we moved to try to do intervention to improve the breast milk production, because that is our first concern. We need to remember that in this province, we still have a problem about a low exclusive breastfeeding number, as well as in the city of Pangkal Pinang. So we did study involving 24 mothers, postpartum mothers, and then we divided them into two groups. The first group received back rolling massage or the oxytocin massage, and the other groups, the intervention is back rolling massage plus PCO as the ointment. So the PCO is used to as ointment to make the massage a lot smoother. Apparently, and then we do the measurement of the breast milk production on the 4th day after the treatment, and then on the 7th day after the treatment. So we measure the breast milk production 2 times in a week. However, in the 4th day, there is no significant difference between the two groups. But on the 7th day, we found out that the group receiving back rolling massage with VCO has better breast milk production. So we conclude that VCO improves the breast milk production through back rolling massage. So this is something that is really delighted for us. We are happy to find the result of the study, and we plan to continue to improve the study, and also at laboratory level and the intervention level to in human. And also we hope that we can explore more about the local potential of this functional food. Next. So how about the ongoing studies, the current studies, the one that we are currently doing this year? I'm very excited to share this one because we just got the result from the lab. Next. Yep. Okay. The first one is we measure the yields production. So because I explained before that we use two methods in extracting the VCO from the coconut. We use heating and fermentation. The heating methods, we use a high heat fire to separate the oil from the milk, the coconut milk. And then we found that on the first round we got 450 milliliters, and the second round we got 470 milliliters. And from the fermentation methods, it's not much different. From the first round we got 440 milliliters, and the second round we got 420 milliliters. So there is no statistical significant difference between the two methods in producing VCO. So it's equally effective to use. So you can get the same amount of VCO if you use heating or fermentation to make your own VCO at home. So you can choose which one that you want to use. Next. However, this is the interesting part, is that when we observe, we examine which one is better at resisting oxidation, or which one that have a better oxidation resistance, which means that which one within the two VCOs groups that are better at resisting oxidation, or it's not easily disrupted, is not easily oxidized, is not it is has a better antioxidant potential, is that we use a Ransimat method to study this one by exploring the induction time of the oxidation. So the oil, the VCO, is put into two different compartments, and then it is being oxidized. After that, we found out that the heating method, the VCO extracted through heating methods, can only withstand oxidation within 25 to 24 hours. So it's about 1 day before the oil is disrupted. And then from the fermentation methods, it needs 41 hours to 43 hours. So it's much longer, almost 2 days. So it can withstand oxidation longer, which means that this is significantly different through our statistical analysis. So it's safer to say that the fermentation method can withstand oxidation better than the heating method, which means that the fermentation, the VCO that we got from the fermentation extraction method, it has a better antioxidant potential. So it can resist the oxidation better because it needs longer to be inducted by the oxidation process. Okay. From all of the study that we are conducted and we are currently conducting, we're really looking forward to what kind of studies that we can do in the future, of course, because it's not easy. There are many studies about VCO, and it's sometimes labeled as superfood or something, but it's not exactly a superfood. We can say that it's a safer choice. It's a safer choice compared to the regular vegetable oil that we usually use at home, because if you heat virgin coconut oil, it will not turn into trans fatty acids. So it might be has bigger energy, but if you use it for healthy groups or for children or for postpartum mothers, it might be a better or healthier choice. In the future, we plan to do, hopefully we can explore further, and we want to focus on the exploration of the VCO antioxidant potential at cellular level, human intervention of VCO consumption, especially in healthy group first, probably in women of productive ages, and intervention of VCO consumption to improve blood lipid profile in human. So there are a lot of studies that we are willing to conduct in the future, and hopefully it can happen. And for the VCO, it is easily made at home, as we say that it's safe for you to make it at home through heatings or fermentation method, whichever way that you are comfortable with. And it is something that you can use probably for your to cook for yourself. It has a really nice smell. It's really stimulating. You can try making it maybe in a small batch first. You don't need to make a big batch of the VCO. So the conclusion is that from our previous studies, we found out that VCO contains alkaloids and saponins. It's also improved breast milk production in postpartum mothers, especially if you use it as ointment for back rolling massage or the oxytocin massage. And VCO production, you can use whichever method that you are comfortable with. And the last one is VCO that extracted through fermentation method has better antioxidant resistance because it doesn't encounter heat. We didn't need to heat the oil because it's already separated by the yeast. That the yeast is doing all of the work, so you don't need to turn on your stove and then heat your coconut milk. You just mix the yeast with your coconut milk and let it rest for 24 hours, and then you come back to it, and then you find that there are three phases in your fermentation box: the water, the VCO, and the cream. Then you can separate and take only the VCO for yourself. I think that's all that I can talk about the research. Of course, this is something, it might be a small scale studies, but we are really happy to present this and tell the word. Me and the team here from National Health Polytechnic of Pangkal Pinang are very happy to take part of this seminars. There is no this fermentation without the hard work of all of our team, Mrs. Ade Devriani, Mrs. Karina Dwi Handini, Mr. Setiawan, all of my friends who work hard with me together to make this possible. Thank you very much. I'll get back to Mr. Abilogo.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Miss Amy. We have a new insight about VCO, virgin coconut oil, which is come from coconut. Okay, thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we move to the question and answer. Actually, we have some question. There's a question from Mr. Dwi Ramadhani in Zoom chat. Sorry, excuse me.
Okay, what's the questions? This one? I would like that it was be for the starting from Indonesia, particularly. Okay, there's a question on the chat room from Mr. Dwi Ramadhani. Thank you very much. I really like the idea of using VCO for the stunting problem in Indonesia, particularly in Bangka. I also like the flow you extract the VCO by using simple method instead of complex method. In your future research, would you consider educating breastfeeding mom to consume VCO? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Dwi. It's really interesting question. It's actually part of the plan, of course. because apart from researching, apart from studying in the lab and doing the intervention, we also plan to do the community development. So we have Pengapmas, or the community development, which we will use that platform to not directly educate, but also first we want to introduce them, the mothers, breastfeeding moms, at the household level, that a VCO is one of the choice. So if they can't, usually in Indonesia, not every household can afford like the expensive oil, like extra virgin olive oil, but they can also use VCO as one of the option for that. Of course, it's not exactly the same fatty acids, but it works. So it's part of the plan, of course. We plan to do it in the future and hopefully soon. Thank you, Mr. Dwi.
Thank you, Mr. Dwi, for your question. And then any question from the other participant? Okay. Excuse me.
Can we close the chat
What's your
box?
chat, please?
The chat box?
The chat box for
Okay.
okay.
No problem. How much?
Share screen your chat room.
And how about using?
Okay, good afternoon, how much?
Okay, from every Imelda.
Okay. And how about you, special with eating methods as our cooking oil? Is that okay?
Okay. For consuming VCO in a day, because VCO is part of lipids or fat, so it amounts not more than 35% from our daily needs. So maybe if we count it in a lot simpler way, maybe 5 tablespoons a day is the maximum. So you don't need to use a lot of the oils. If you just use it for like simple cooking at home, so it's safe. And you can use the oils not only for one time, maximum of 3 times is okay. So 3 tablespoons of oils that you can consume in a day. And is it safe to use the heating method? Yes, it is safe, because it's not going to disrupt the oil if you use heating as the separation method. But you need to be careful about storing it. So I think, Miss February, you can try to store it in your fridge at a cooler condition, and it's safer that way. It will not be oxidized if you store it carefully in your fridge, because the oil will turn into balm, a soft balm, a very soft balm, if you store it in a cooler condition. It's not in the room temperature, because the oil will freeze at 20 degrees. So I think 24 or 25 degrees safe, and it's safer if you store it in the fridge. So it's okay. You can use the ones that you use at home through heatings, and if you plan to make it yourself at home, you can use it to cook, and it smells so nice. You can actually taste it better if you use, especially if you like sambals. Sambals with virgin coconut oil is really good. You can try it at home.
Okay, thank you, Miss Amy. Is there any question anymore? One last question. Okay, one last question. Which one has a better impact on the antioxidant effect of virgin oil bangka? About the other supply, is it drink, smelt, or something else?
Okay. Is it the consumption of VCO? Is it through oral administration or on skin smeared? That is part of our plan for the future study. We have yet to studies about that, but it's safe for consumption. Also, it's safe for if you use it on skin. But you need to be careful with allergen. So if you have certain kind of allergen in your skin, it's not recommended to use it on your skin. But if you don't, if you just want something to hydrate your skin, especially on your feet or on the raw fat of your bodies, you can use it, especially if it in the form of the balm. After you store it in a cooler condition, and then you take it out, and then you can apply the virgin coconut oil in some part of your body that's have a raw skin, and if you want to hydrate it more. So I think that's what I can recommend. But we have yet to study which is the best method to consume physio.
Thank you very much, Miss Amy. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we already has to the limit of this seminar, and the VCO, virgin coconut oil, is not super food, but several choice. Bigger energy, not to be fatty acid, usable for mother and children, and the source of coconut in Bangka is very, very a large amount. Okay, Miss Amy, thank you very much for your presentation.
You're most welcome.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
I'll give it back to Mrs. Anissa, SMC, and thank you very much. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for all the inviters. We have such great and excellent speakers also moderated today. Sadly enough, we have now come to the end of our seminar. We appreciate again for joining us since morning. I hope this seminar will be beneficial to all of us. Before we part, please accept this pantun from us. Pergi jalan-jalan ke Pulau Bangka. Jangan lupa berfoto di pantainya. Jika ada silap dan salah kata, harap sudi maafkan kami semua. It's been great and wonderful day with all of you. Again, thank you. Good day. See you again in next seminar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Waalaikumsalam.